there is a very beautiful, very dangerous lie that keeps you trapped. Society has conditioned you to believe that if you communicate clearly, if you show enough empathy, and if you swallow your pride to act like the bigger person, the world will eventually recognize your virtue and reward you with loyalty. Look at where that has gotten you. You are sitting at your desk at 11 o'clock at night, staring at a glowing screen, carefully rewriting an email to a condescending colleague or a passive-aggressive partner. You backspace the anger. You dilute your boundaries. You draft something perfectly reasonable just to keep the peace. You are managing their emotions at the expense of your own reality, and you are calling it kindness. It is not kindness. It is a slow, silent surrender. Because here is the unspoken law of human dynamics they will never teach you in mainstream self-help. Power is not in the sword you swing, but in the wounds you no longer feel. When you walk into the world believing that your emotional vulnerability is a badge of honor, you are not acting as a saint. You are acting as prey. We are taught from childhood that bearing emotional pain makes us noble, that turning the other cheek is the ultimate sign of moral strength. But in the ruthless calculus of human nature, unchecked empathy is not a virtue. It is an open invitation for exploitation. You assume that because you have a conscience, the people across the table from you must possess one as well. You project your own goodness onto individuals who view your compassion not as a gift to be cherished, but as a weakness to be leveraged. Consider the modern workplace. You take on extra projects without credit, assuming your silent sacrifice will be rewarded by the corporate hierarchy. When a colleague subtly claims your idea in a meeting, you sit there, frozen, convincing yourself that speaking up would make you look petty. Or consider the modern dating market, where you excuse inconsistent behavior, intermittent reinforcement, and blatant emotional unavailability because you think your endless patience will eventually unlock their hidden potential. In both arenas, you are playing by rules that your opponent abandoned long ago. Let us look closely at the architecture of a manipulator. When a predatory or Machiavellian personality scans a room, they are not looking for the loudest person. They are looking for the most accommodating one. They are looking for the person who over-explains themselves, the person who apologizes when someone else bumps into them, the person who bends over backward to ensure everyone else in the dynamic is comfortable. They see your desperate need to be perceived as a good person, and they instantly recognize it as a string they can pull. You have denied your own dark side. By locking away your shadow, that primal protective instinct that knows how to bare its teeth and defend its territory in order to appear polite and socially acceptable, you have left the gates to your own psychological fortress wide open. You are entirely defenseless against those who navigate the world with a sharp, calculated realism. Think about the energy you expend on a daily basis trying to decode the silent treatment from someone you care about. Think about the mental gymnastics you perform to justify the subtle disrespect, masked as a joke from someone in your social circle. You tell yourself they are just stressed. You tell yourself that if you just give them a little more grace, the dynamic will eventually balance out. But it never balances out, does it? It only escalates. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this fundamental flaw in human behavior. He observed the reality of power dynamics without the romantic, self-deluding filter of how things ought to be. In the realm of power, Whether it is the politics of a 16th century royal court, the unspoken hierarchy of a university campus, or the politics of a group chat, respect is never given freely as a reward for good behavior. Respect is extracted. It is commanded by the invisible boundaries you establish and the consequences you are willing to enforce. If there is no friction, no consequence for disrespecting you, the disrespect will not only continue, it will become the very foundation of the relationship. You are currently operating under a deeply flawed social contract. You believe the contract says, "I will be good to you, and therefore you must not hurt me." But the people who continually drain you are operating under a completely different set of terms. Their contract says, "I will take whatever you are willing to give until you force me to stop." Every time you let a slight slide, every time you laugh nervously at a condescending remark to ease the tension, you are negotiating against yourself. You are actively training them how to treat you. You are handing them the exact coordinates of your vulnerabilities. You do not need better communication skills. You do not need to learn how to express your feelings more clearly to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You need a radical paradigm shift. You need to stop viewing every interaction through the lens of morality and start viewing it through the lens of strategy and leverage. True emotional safety does not come from finding people who will never hurt you. That is a child's fantasy. True emotional safety comes from becoming the kind of person who is completely unbothered by the attempt. It is about looking at human nature with a cold, unflinching eye and recognizing that you have been playing a game of chess while treating the pieces like your friends. The pain you feel right now is not the inevitable cost of living in the world. It is the cost of operating with a broken map. You get hurt because you grant others the jurisdiction to determine your value. To stop bleeding out in these interactions, you must first understand the exact moment you handed them the blade. You handed them the blade the second you let them realize you were afraid of losing them. To understand why you are constantly walking on eggshells, bleeding out your energy in interactions that leave you exhausted, we must dissect the true currency of all human interaction: leverage. In any dynamic, whether it is a boardroom negotiation, a tense family gathering, or a romantic entanglement, power does not necessarily belong to the smartest, the loudest, or the wealthiest. Power simply belongs to the person who cares less. The individual who is willing to walk away from the table holds absolute authority over the individual who is desperate for the negotiation to succeed. If you are terrified of an outcome, you are a hostage to anyone who can bring that outcome into reality. Picture the modern corporate environment. Your superior sits across from you, using vague, ambiguous language about your future with the company. They say things like, "We really need to see more initiative before we discuss your promotion," or, "I am just not sure you are fully aligned with our culture yet." They are not offering constructive feedback. They are dangling a threat. They are testing the perimeter of your anxiety to see what you will tolerate. Because you are terrified of losing the income, the status, or the professional identity, you react exactly as programmed. You sacrifice your weekends. You answer emails at midnight. You swallow the subtle disrespect and smile through the condescension. Your boss does not have to explicitly threaten to fire you. They simply hold the leverage of your own fear against you. You are doing their dirty work for them. This identical mechanism operates in your personal life. You have likely experienced the partner or the friend who weaponizes their absence. When a conflict arises, instead of engaging, they withdraw. They leave your messages unread. They become physically present but emotionally vacant. The implicit threat hanging in the dead air is that they will leave you if you do not comply. Because you fear the abandonment, your nervous system panics, you chase them, you apologize for things you did not do, you flood them with attention and validation just to stabilize the dynamic. You think you are saving the relationship, but strategically, you are simply rewarding their manipulation. You are teaching them that withdrawing their presence is the most efficient way to break your boundaries and enforce your submission. As long as you view the loss of their approval as a catastrophe, they hold the remote control to your emotional state. This is the essence of being a hostage. A hostage taker only has power because you value the life of the hostage. If the hostage is already dead, the gun is useless. To neutralize a manipulator, you must eliminate the leverage they hold over you. You must adopt what we call the hostage protocol. This requires a profound and slightly dark psychological shift. Instead of frantically trying to prevent the worst-case scenario, you must mentally step directly into it. You must mentally execute the outcome you are so desperately trying to avoid. If the unspoken threat in your relationship is that they will walk out the door, you must close your eyes and vividly visualize the end. See them packing their bags. Watch them leave. Feel the sharp initial sting of the abandonment. Visualize the empty apartment. Visualize your life moving forward without them. If the threat is your reputation at work, mentally watch your reputation burn to ash. Imagine getting fired. Imagine the awkward conversations. Picture yourself starting completely over in a new industry. You must walk your nervous system through the absolute worst-case scenario and force it to recognize one cold, undeniable biological fact. You will survive. You will breathe. You will adapt. The world will not end. When you accept the worst-case scenario in your mind before it ever happens, in reality, you vaporize their leverage. You strip the kinetic energy away from their threats. They are holding a gun to the head of a hostage that you have already buried. This is the secret of true emotional asymmetry. Power is not in the sword you swing, but in the wounds you no longer feel. When you no longer fear the loss, the dynamic instantly shifts, and the oppressor feels it immediately, even if you never say a single word. Imagine the next time that toxic partner tries to deploy the silent treatment. They pull away, expecting the usual frantic chase. They expect your anxiety. But this time, you have already made peace with their absence. You do not text them. You do not ask what is wrong. You look at them with a calm, clinical indifference. You go about your day entirely unbothered, perfectly content in the silence. The manipulator's entire power structure relies on your panic. When they look into your eyes and see absolutely no fear of losing them, a terrifying realization washes over them. They have lost control of the board. The silence that was supposed to punish you is now suffocating them. This transition from suffocating anxiety to cold empowerment is the foundation of psychological invulnerability. You stop negotiating from a place of deficit. You stop explaining your worth to people who profit from making you feel worthless. You accept that if a relationship or a position requires you to live in a constant state of fear to maintain it, it is a prison, and you are holding the key. You simply stop caring about the loss. You detach. You watch their manipulative maneuvers with the detached fascination of a scientist observing a predictable organism. But destroying their leverage is only the perimeter defense. The true vulnerability lies in the face you show to the world. You have destroyed their leverage by accepting the worst-case scenario, but neutralizing their threats is only the perimeter defense. The true vulnerability lies in the face you habitually show to the world. It is time for a cold, uncomfortable pivot in how you view your own suffering. For years, you have likely believed that the pain inflicted upon you by narcissists, manipulators, and chronic boundary crossers was simply a matter of bad luck. You thought you were just unfortunate enough to continually cross paths with broken, unhealed people. This is the moment you must realize that your pain is not a product of chance. It is a design flaw in your own strategy. You are being targeted and wounded because you continuously broadcast the exact coordinates of your softest parts. You are getting hurt because you insist on bringing your true, authentic soul to a battlefield. When you walk into a hostile environment, whether it is a cutthroat corporate office where everyone is quietly vying for status, or a deeply toxic holiday dinner with family members who specialize in psychological warfare, you make a fatal strategic error. You walk in carrying your actual insecurities, your real hopes, and your genuine desire for connection. You lay your authentic self on the table like a raw, exposed nerve, expecting the predators in the room to handle it with the care and reverence it deserves. You believe that if you are just transparent enough, if you explain your intentions clearly enough, they will eventually put down their weapons and meet you in a space of mutual respect. But a battlefield is not a sanctuary. When you expose your soul to people who are playing a game of dominance, they do not see your authenticity as beautiful. They see it as a structural weakness they can exploit. They see buttons they can push to extract a reaction, proving to themselves that they hold power over you. To become entirely untouchable, you must restructure your psychological architecture. You must stop offering your true self to people who have not earned the right to witness it. This requires the deliberate creation of a tactical persona. You must cleanly divide your identity into two distinct entities, the sovereign and the avatar. The sovereign is your core essence. It is the seat of your deep empathy, your genuine vulnerability, your creativity, and your profound capacity for love. The sovereign is sacred, and therefore, it must remain heavily guarded within the inner citadel of your mind. It is never paraded in public. It is never exposed to the casual cruelty of passing acquaintances or toxic family members. The sovereign is only unlocked for a rare, heavily vetted few who have proven their absolute loyalty and consistency over time. For the rest of the world, you send out the avatar. The avatar is the suit of armor you forge from the darker, more resilient aspects of your psyche. Mainstream society conditions you to repress your shadow, your coldness, your detachment, your capacity for ruthlessness, in order to be a compliant, nice person. But in Machiavellian strategy, you must integrate those shadow elements to build your defense. The avatar is constructed from this integrated shadow. It is a highly sophisticated interface designed specifically to handle the friction of a predatory world. The avatar goes to the soul-crushing corporate meetings. The avatar fields the passive-aggressive emails. The avatar sits across the table from the manipulative ex-partner during a tense negotiation. The programming of the avatar is entirely devoid of ego and emotional triggers. It is unfailingly polite, seamlessly professional, mildly curious, and fundamentally hollow. It is velvet on the outside, concealing solid iron beneath. When you deploy the avatar, you create a terrifying psychological distance between yourself and your attacker. Consider the classic toxic family dinner. The narcissistic parent waits for the perfect moment of silence to launch a cutting remark about your weight, your career trajectory, or your relationship status. In the past, the sovereign would take the hit. Your face would flush, your heart rate would spike, and you would defensively try to justify your life choices, bleeding out vital energy while they smirked at their successful strike. But now, you deploy the avatar, the insult is launched. It travels across the table and strikes the polished armor of your tactical persona. The avatar simply smiles, takes a calm sip of water, and replies with a smooth, frictionless observation. That is an interesting perspective. Before seamlessly changing the subject, you give them absolutely nothing to hold on to. You offer no defense, no anger, no explanation. Inside the citadel, the true you, the sovereign, is watching the interaction on a screen, entirely unbothered, perhaps even slightly amused by their desperate attempt to extract a reaction. The attacker is starved of the emotional response they require to feel powerful. They have bitten down with all their might, expecting soft flesh, and shattered their teeth on titanium. This is the profound relief of psychological sovereignty. You do not have to eradicate your empathy. You do not have to become a bitter, cynical sociopath to survive the game. You do not have to change who you fundamentally are. You only have to change what you expose. By mastering the avatar, you protect your capacity for deep connection by ensuring it is never again wasted on those who view it as a weakness. You become a mirror, reflecting their own behavior back at them while remaining entirely untouched by the venom. The world sees exactly what you permit them to see, a perfectly controlled surface that gives away nothing. With the armor in place, their arrows shatter on impact, but to maintain this impenetrable defense, you must permanently eliminate the mind's most dangerous traitor. With the armor of the avatar firmly in place, their arrows shatter on impact, but to maintain this impenetrable defense, you must permanently eliminate the mind's most dangerous traitor. That traitor is hope. In the realm of psychological warfare, hope is the ultimate vulnerability. Mainstream society relentlessly sells hope as a moral imperative. We are conditioned to believe that we must always look for the hidden good in everyone, that patience and unconditional love will eventually heal the broken people around us, and that holding out for someone's potential is a sign of a beautiful soul. This is a fatal strategic error in the mechanics of power dynamics. Hope does not elevate you. It chains you to a hallucination. It keeps you staring at a fantasy of who a person could be, deliberately blinding you to the dark, mechanical reality of who they actually are. Power is not in the sword you swing, but in the wounds you no longer feel. And you will never stop feeling those wounds, as long as you continue to hope that the person wielding the blade will suddenly decide to become a healer. Consider the exhausting cycle of a deeply inconsistent relationship, whether it is a romantic partner who runs hot and cold, or a toxic friend who only values you when they need an audience. You know the exact pattern. They pull away, they treat you with casual disregard, and they cross your boundaries without a second thought. You finally reach your breaking point and decide to distance yourself. But the moment you pull your energy back, they sense the shift in the power dynamic. Suddenly, they send a warm, nostalgic text. They offer a flash of the original charm they used to secure your attachment in the very beginning. They throw you a single, calculated crumb of validation. Instantly, the hope you thought you had buried flares back to life. Your brain floods with the comforting delusion that this time they have finally realized your worth. You tell yourself that the storm is over and that their momentary warmth is proof of a permanent transformation. Because of that tiny injection of hope, you lower the drawbridge. You recall the avatar and allow your authentic sovereign to step back onto the battlefield. You open your chest, exposing your raw empathy once again, and within a matter of days or weeks, the illusion evaporates. The warmth vanishes as quickly as it appeared, replaced by the same cold, dismissive cruelty you thought they had outgrown. The blade slides in, and you are left bleeding out, confused and devastated. But you must understand a brutal truth about this cycle. The deepest pain you feel in that moment is not actually caused by their betrayal. The pain is the violent friction between your hallucinated version of who they are and the unyielding concrete of their actual nature. You are continually breaking your own heart by refusing to accept the behavioral data they are handing you. To construct an architecture of absolute invulnerability, you must assassinate your hope. You must commit to a philosophy of tactical realism. Machiavelli did not waste his time wishing that the ruthless princes and corrupt officials of Renaissance Italy would suddenly discover their moral compass. He built his entire framework on observing men exactly as they are, driven by self-interest, fear, and ego, rather than projecting onto them a fantasy of how they ought to behave. You must apply this exact clinical detachment to the manipulators in your life. You must look at the chronic boundary crosser, the narcissist, or the fair-weather friend, and you must accept their current state with terrifying finality. You must look them in the eye, in the quiet of your own mind, and state the cold fact. This is who they are. They are not a misunderstood puzzle for me to solve. They will never change to accommodate my peace. They will never offer the closure I am desperately looking for. When you murder the hope that they will be better, you do not become a bitter cynic. You become a master strategist. You stop taking their dysfunction personally and begin to view their toxic behavior through a completely different lens. You must learn to treat their actions as meteorological events. When a hurricane rolls off the coast and tears the roof off a house, you do not drop to your knees and weep because the hurricane was disrespectful. You do not write a long, emotionally charged letter to the sky explaining how the storm violated your boundaries. You do not hope the hurricane will eventually learn to be gentle. You accept that it is simply the nature of the pressure system. You board up the windows, you build stronger walls, and you secure your environment. You must view the gaslighting, the sudden withdrawals, and the backhanded compliments as predictable, atmospheric phenomena. It is just their weather. When the toxic coworker attempts to throw you under the bus, or the manipulative partner begins their usual guilt trip, you do not react with shock or outrage. You observe the behavior with a detached clinical fascination of a scientist looking through a microscope. You note the data. You tell yourself, "Ah, there is the deflection tactic. Right on schedule. There is the victim playing exactly as predicted. You strip the emotion entirely out of the equation. By expecting absolutely nothing from them, you make it mathematically impossible for them to disappoint you. The mechanism by which they extract your energy is permanently disabled. You no longer waste hours agonizing over what they meant or how you could have communicated better. You reclaim all of that vital life force and use it to fortify your own internal empire. You realize that watching the machinery of their broken psychology turn is actually profoundly boring when you no longer have a stake in the outcome. When you expect nothing, you master the environment. Environment clearing the board for the final, counterintuitive move that breaks their reality. When you expect nothing from a manipulator, you completely clear the psychological board, setting the stage for the final and most devastating maneuver in your architecture of invulnerability. Human conflict is fundamentally built on the mechanics of resistance. When a predator launches a character assassination, their entire strategy relies on your instinct to defend your honor. Imagine a semi-public setting, a tense office meeting, or a gathering of your social circle. A toxic individual decides to assert dominance by targeting your character. They look at you and say something deliberately provocative. You are always so incredibly selfish. You never think about anyone else. What does your nervous system scream at you to do? It screams at you to push back. It begs you to list all the times you sacrificed your own comfort for the group. No, I'm not. You instinctively want to reply, I do so much for everyone here. But you must understand the invisible physics of this moment. The second you utter the words, no, I'm not. You have lost the war. You have picked up your end of the rope in a psychological tug-of-war. By defending yourself, you are implicitly agreeing that their judgment has authority. You are submitting an application to their court, begging the judge to reconsider the verdict. You are spending your vital, unrecoverable life force trying to convince a person who is entirely committed to misunderstanding you. To achieve total sovereignty, you must drop the rope. But the true Machiavellian masterstroke is not just dropping the rope, it is running entirely in their direction. This is the strategy of the void, or the art of total, strategic agreement. Imagine someone winding up to punch you in the chest. They put their entire body weight into the swing, anticipating the solid resistance of your ribs. But a microsecond before their fist connects, you simply take a step backward into the void. Their own momentum carries them violently forward, and they fall flat on their face, defeated by their own kinetic energy. This is precisely what happens to a manipulator's mind when you agree with their insult. When they attempt to shame you by calling you selfish, do not flush with embarrassment. Do not launch into a defense. Look them dead in the eyes, deploy the avatar, and speak with a quiet, lethal calmness. You are absolutely right. My capacity for selfishness is vast. I prioritize my own peace and survival above everything else, and you probably shouldn't rely on me to do otherwise. Watch the immediate, catastrophic glitch in their matrix. Watch their brain desperately try to process what just happened. They spent hours preparing an entire arsenal of counter-arguments and gaslighting tactics to use against your defense. But you didn't defend, you agreed. You took the very insult they meant to use as a dagger, claimed it as a title, and wore it like a crown. If they call you arrogant, simply reply, I have to be. False modesty has never served my goals. If they call you cold, say, It is the only temperature where my mind functions with clarity. This is not self-deprecation. This is advanced verbal judo. You are taking the shadow traits they are projecting onto you, the darkness you have been socially conditioned to hide, and you are owning them completely. You are demonstrating to the manipulator that you are no longer terrified of being perceived as the villain. You no longer need to be the hero in their twisted narrative. You do not require them to think you are a good person, because your validation is entirely internally generated. This tactic is psychologically devastating to the attacker. They attack you to feel powerful, to extract a reaction that proves they exist and have weight in your world. When you absorb their heaviest blow without a flinch, and even validate their critique, you prove that their perception of you is utterly irrelevant. You leave them standing alone on the battlefield, swinging a heavy sword at thin air, looking entirely foolish to everyone watching. You have conquered your own shadow, meaning there is nothing left inside you for them to exploit. Power is not in the sword you swing, but in the wounds you no longer feel. When you embrace the absolute worst things people can say about you, they have absolutely no ammunition left to threaten you with. This is the culmination of your psychological sovereignty, but you must accept the cost of this freedom. The cost is the permanent release of the compulsion to be understood. You must accept that the vast majority of people will only ever meet the polished armor of the avatar. They will never know the depth, the warmth, or the quiet beauty of the sovereign, locked deep within your inner citadel. They will perceive you as aloof, impenetrable, and perhaps a little dangerous. Let them. The alternative is returning to a life of slavery. The alternative is going back to bleeding out over minor slights, lying awake at night, agonizing over the opinions of broken people, and offering your soul to a world that only wants to consume it. When you finally master the decoy self, when you assassinate the vulnerability of hope, and when you weaponize the void of total agreement, you step into a realm of untouchable autonomy. You stop reacting, you stop explaining, you stop suffering at the hands of the mediocre. You realize that your peace was never something the world could grant you, and therefore it is nothing the world can ever take away. You walk through the chaos of human dysfunction with the terrifying calm of a ghost. The world is full of manipulators who are desperate to drag you down into their internal hell, hoping your warmth will keep them from freezing. Let them burn alone. You have an empire of ice to run. Listen to that absolute silence creeping into your mind right now. That is not loneliness. That is the sound of the chains breaking. That silence creeping into your mind right now is the sound of the chains breaking. But this profound, unshakable quiet is merely the secured perimeter of your new reality. To guarantee that your psychological fortress is never breached again, you must eventually transition from an impenetrable defense to a calculated, undeniable offense. Up until this moment, we have focused entirely on neutralizing the weapons of your enemies. You have learned to deploy the avatar to absorb the friction of a toxic world. You have learned to assassinate the traitor of hope, and you have mastered the strategy of the void by agreeing with their deepest insults. You have successfully stopped the bleeding, but in the ruthless mechanics of human nature, mere survival is not a strategy for victory. A fortress that never projects power outside its own walls will eventually invite a siege. If you want to become a permanent ghost to the manipulators of the world, You must take the vital life force you have just reclaimed and forge it into tangible, real-world leverage. What does a Machiavellian offense actually look like? Most people fundamentally misunderstand this concept. When the average person thinks of going on the offensive against a narcissist or a toxic authority figure, they imagine dramatic confrontations. They imagine delivering the perfect, crushing insult that finally makes their abuser realize the error of their ways. They imagine plotting elaborate, cinematic revenge. But revenge is a reactive emotion. If you are plotting revenge, you are still dancing to the rhythm composed by your enemy. You are still acknowledging their importance. True, lethal offense in the Velvet Dagger philosophy has absolutely nothing to do with destroying the other person. It has everything to do with systematically expanding your own optionality until their presence in your life becomes a rounding error. Offense is the cold, methodical accumulation of competence, resources, and unshakable self-reliance. Consider the workplace dynamic we examined earlier. Your condescending superior has historically kept you in a state of perpetual anxiety, dangling your job security over your head. Now, you have deployed the hostage protocol. You no longer fear losing the job, and you use the avatar to calmly navigate their passive-aggressive emails. But that is only the shield. The sword is what you do with the mental bandwidth you just freed up. Instead of spending your evenings agonizing over your boss's tone, or venting to your coworkers in the break room, you quietly redirect all of that kinetic energy into acquiring a rare, highly compensated skill. You study the industry. You build a parallel network of contacts. You secure an offer from a formidable competitor. You do not demand respect. You engineer a reality where the company cannot mathematically afford to lose you. You construct a scenario where the superior who used to torment you now relies on your specialized output for their own survival. You have accumulated leverage, and the moment you hold the leverage, their condescension magically evaporates. This exact same architecture applies to your personal life. Manipulators, emotional vampires, and chronic boundary crossers rely entirely on your isolation to maintain their power. They need you to believe that if they withdraw their affection, you will be left completely alone in the dark. To go on the offensive, you must ruthlessly build a parallel infrastructure of high-value alliances. You cultivate relationships with individuals who operate on mutual respect, logic, and shared goals, rather than trauma bonding and chaotic drama. You dedicate yourself to a physical discipline, a creative obsession, or a financial pursuit that grounds your identity in undeniable reality. You create a life that is so dense with meaning, purpose, and resources that when a toxic individual threatens to walk away, they realize they are threatening to remove a single drop of water from your ocean. Your optionality becomes your ultimate weapon. When you possess vast optionality, you project a completely different frequency into the world. People can smell it on you. Predators have a highly tuned sixth sense for desperation. They can scan a room and instantly identify the person who needs validation to survive, but they are absolutely terrified of autonomy. When you walk into a room holding a quiet surplus of leverage, when you know you can walk away from the job, walk away from the negotiation, or walk away from the relationship without your pulse rising a single beat, you become radioactive to manipulators. They will take one look at the chilling calm in your eyes Sense the sheer kinetic potential resting beneath the surface of your avatar, and they will look for an easier target. You deter attacks before they are even formulated in the minds of your enemies. This is the ultimate evolution of the psychological framework. Power is not in the sword you swing, but in the wounds you no longer feel. Once you have stopped feeling the wounds, your hands are finally free to pick up the sword. You do not use it to strike blindly at the ghosts of your past. You use it to carve out your sovereignty in the present. You transition from a victim who is constantly managing the emotional fallout of others to a tactician who dictates the terms of their own existence. You stop asking the world to be fair, and you start making yourself undeniable. The knowledge required to build this kind of autonomy is dangerous, which is exactly why mainstream algorithms prefer to suppress it. They want you compliant, emotional, and easily influenced. If the architecture we have constructed today has clarified your reality, if you are finally ready to stop bleeding out and start building your citadel, acknowledge the exchange of value. Use the Super Thanks feature below. It is not just a contribution. It is a tactical signal, a quiet nod between strategists who understand the unspoken rules of the game. Your support ensures that this channel remains a sanctuary for the cold, unvarnished truth. Until next time, remember the protocol. Keep the avatar polished for the world, keep the sovereign heavily guarded, and never again apologize for recognizing reality exactly as it is.